Minister, I would say, and to the government deputies and ministers here, that this is a real opportunity for you to redeem yourselves. The track record of the previous government in relation to mortgage holders has been nothing short of abysmal. When you look back at what was done in the last government, one of the first things that Minister Noonan did was to rip up the previous Code of Conduct on mortgage arrears and to water it down in favour of the banks. That happened. That's a matter of record. Secondly, it moved on to setting aside the Dunn judgment, which gave some protection for people in family homes, stopping banks to repossess family homes. And this government, or the past government, then brought in the Land and Conveyancing Act, which we said at the time to your former colleague, former Minister Shatter, would lead to thousands of civil bills and thousands of home repossessions. And it has done so, and it is doing so. And in that watering down of the rights of people, this government kind of became a cheerleader for the banks and a supporter of the banks above the people who you're supposed to represent. When you look further down the track at the NAMA, or the state-controlled mortgages, the IBRC mortgages, Minister Noonan and the Fine Gael and Labour government permitted the sale of those mortgages, some 49,000 of them, a mortgage book, to vulture funds, and wouldn't publish what the discount on those mortgage books were sold for. And they wouldn't offer those mortgages or the same deal to the mortgage holders themselves. A lot of people, and furthermore, even with your watered-down Code of Conduct and mortgage arrears, these vulture funds are not covered under the statutory regulations, and that's also part of the bill that my colleague Michael McGrath has produced here. I put it to you that you actually have a moral obligation to let this bill pass at second stage to go to committee. As previous colleagues have said, there is no reason, when this legislation was introduced before and when a motion was introduced before in March 2015, the issues of illegality or unconstitutionality did not come up. Minister Noonan then introduced a red herring yesterday to the bank shares have dropped 10% because of this legislation. What I'd say to the Minister is, we in a previous government had to take very tough decisions to save the banks and to save the financial system. But coupled with that, we brought in very strong and robust protections for mortgage holders. You, in government, and the current government, watered them down and left the people victims of the banks. Minister Zappone, who I congratulate on her appointment, in the Shannon that I served in the last time, supported the Family Home Protection Bill that we put forward as a party in the last Shannon to give protection to homeowners and afford them the protection that they need and that they deserve. This piece of legislation here would go some way to redeeming the last government's record in relation to mortgages. My colleagues have outlined the costs. The reality of it is, if you take the constituency where I live, and to be personal about this matter, I bought a 3-bedroom standard terraced house, family house, in my constituency in 2006. I paid €580,000 for that house. That's the reality of it. That wasn't above and beyond what it was. I was one of the fortunate ones who had a tracker mortgage. Many others, neighbours in my own estate, paid the same amount, and are with Bank of Ireland and other lenders who are charging average variable rates of 4.5%, who are paying hundreds of euro more than I am. That is not something that any government or any Dáil, any parliament should stand over. And Minister Noonan should really ask himself a question, that whether he's a minister for the people or a minister for the banks. And his track record over the last 5 years, and in the short term that this government has been formed, has proven again that, in my view, that he is a minister for the banks. There is no reason why government should put an amendment to this. You should withdraw the amendment and you should allow the bill go to committee stage. Refine it, improve it if needs be. But people really need to see action in this regard, because the only action that they have seen in the last 4 to 5 years is to reduce the rights that they have as homeowners. AIB, in reducing their rates 4 times in the last 18 months, have seen a reduction in the number of mortgage arrears in their own company and an increase in their profits. Bank of Ireland stand over a 4.5% average variable rate, when AIB 3.4%. hundreds of euro in the difference. And then what are the banks doing? They're offering fixed-rate terms for people to move out, fixed-rate mortgages for people to move out of variable-rate contracts of up to 6 and 7%. It's ludicrous, it's ridiculous. You need to take a stick to the banks. It's all they understand. This legislation is a start, and it's a start of giving fairness to the 300,000 plus people and families, many of whom were people who purchased their houses in 04, 05, 06 and 07. So think about it. I'm not sure whether Minister Noonan has a mortgage, and he probably doesn't after his tenure in this House, and that may be the reason why he doesn't understand what the real issues are for normal people and normal working families in this country. And he's a chance now. Accept this bill, allow it go through to committee stage, and we can work on it together to improve the lot of mortgage holders who are paying hundreds of euro above the odds every single month.